Доброе утро! Добро пожаловать на шестую ежегодную конференцию Access Russia. Меня зовут Дарина. Я рада вас приветствовать на русском языке, но мероприятие будет проходить на английском, поэтому let's switch to English. Hi everyone, my name is Darina. I'm a business development principal at Access Innovation, and I'm happy that you can join us today here for the 6th annual Access Russia. For the second year, we're doing this event virtually because of pandemic, and we hope you will enjoy this conference today. So let's start, and I'm happy to introduce you our CEO of Access Innovation, Ed Frank. Good morning, Ed. Hi.
Good morning, Darina. Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone who's joining us. I wanted to just take this opportunity to give you a little bit of background information on Access Innovation and the work that we do. As Darina had mentioned, we're now in our 6th year with Access Russia. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we're not able to be there with you in person, and we hope that by next year that will actually change and we'll be there together again. So really, when we first entered this pandemic, no one actually would think that we would be going this far and we'd be at this point and 2 years in a row of having it virtually. But we've also seen is that many of the corporations that in 2020 were not moving that quickly to engage with startups have started to move a lot faster, as well as investors. And last year, from Access Russia, we had a number of deals that developed. And this year we have quite a few interesting companies to present. We have 8 companies that will be presenting today from the areas of mobility, consumer, fintech, and retail. And I'm sure you'll find them quite interesting. So since the Corona hit, we've actually at Access Innovation also moved to virtual engagement. And our work, which surrounds corporate consulting, global conferences, and startup advisory, well, since the beginning of Corona, we've actually picked up 5 corporate clients that we started to work with them to identify innovative startups. We've had more than 25 virtual events with thousands of people attending from all over the world. And we've closed 3 investment deals with international investors and startups. So we are seeing that people are still interested in engaging with innovation. The work that we do is based on how we can find innovative startups. And between the work that we do with corporations, as well as our conferences, we see about 1,000 startups a year. And we choose those startups that are most likely to connect with our clients or with the investors that participate to our events. And we've had more than 25 deals with these startups and raising funds. And a lot of the work that we do is surrounding what we call our open innovation practice, where we help find innovative technologies for large corporations. And we do this both in Israel and overseas. We've done many delegation tours, and we've done them virtually as well as physically. And we've actually in the past year developed our own proprietary platform to connect startups and corporations. Our most prominent client is Ford. We've worked with them over these past 7 years all across Europe to help identify innovative startups. And again, this year after the summer, we'll be doing that again, where we will be going to Israel and to many countries, including Russia, to find innovative startups. And what we've also found is using our proprietary platform, a way to engage within the corporation, within Ford, to actually make sure that not only do they meet these innovative startups, but actually something results from them. And we're quite happy to say that a number of the startups that we've introduced to Ford have now been engaged with Ford and are working with them around the globe. So it's my pleasure now to also thank our sponsors. Each year we put on this event and we have really important partners. I'd like to first thank these sponsors for supporting us. You'll have a chance to hear them yourselves during the course of this morning. DLA Piper and the work that they're doing, the leading international law firm, and the work that they're doing with VCs and corporations is really gaining strength every year. And that's our pleasure to work with Leo for so many years. Thank you, Leo, for joining us today. The FinCon Group, which is based in Israel, and they work a lot with companies that are working between Russia and Israel. Thank you, Tanya. And in a few minutes, you'll have a chance to hear from Tanya. And the MTS Startup Hub, which is the leading corporate accelerator and startup hub in Russia. And Alexander, who you'll have a chance to hear from as well tomorrow, is also working with us, and we're happy to have them, as well as the IE University out of Spain that works with a number of large corporations to develop innovative learning programs, as well as with students from startups that want to expand their skills. So thank you, excuse me, Victoria, for joining us today. So I'd like to hope that you enjoyed today, enjoy the startups, and we're having a number of poll questions that if you would like to further engage with them, and you'll have a chance to hear from Jason, the deal flow manager and COO of Access, in a few minutes. It's right now my great pleasure to introduce you, our honored guest, the Israel ambassador to Russia, Ambassador Alexander Ben-Zvi, who was recently appointed to be the Israeli ambassador to Russia, recently from Poland, originally from the Soviet Union. He speaks 7 languages. He's worked throughout his career to connect corporations and business with Israel. So for that, we thank him. He's quite a man of the world with experience, of course, as a career diplomat, and has many varied interests besides being a diplomat, such as cooking, football, and music, and of course, literature. So I'd like to thank Ambassador Ben-Zvi for joining us today, to welcome our participants on both sides of the world, both in Russia and Israel, and hope that we can meet you in person soon. Ambassador Ben-Zvi, the floor is yours. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you very much for after such an introduction, and so now I have to meet the expectations. But generally, I really wanted to open this event because, it's true, I'm here in Russia 6 months, but it's not my first time. I spent several years here before that, in the beginning of the 90s, as the DCM, the Deputy Chief of Mission, here in Moscow, and I was dealing with those subjects for many years when I was also the Deputy Director General of the Ministry in charge of this region. So I know the grounds quite well. And one thing for me, it's very important to say, is that, our relations, Israeli-Russian relations, actually are very good. I mean, on the political level, we are maybe now in one of the best periods of our diplomatic relations after the resuming, which means this year we are celebrating 30th anniversary of resuming those diplomatic relations. Quite an important date for us, well, especially for me, because I was the one who translated the ceremony of signing those relations. So, I have some personal effect to that. But generally, saying that we have very good relations, normally I like to prove my statements, which means when we say good relations, what do we mean? If good relations is that I'm drinking coffee with President Putin every morning, should it be good relations? I would say yes, of course. But I prefer to see how we can actually measure them. And we can measure them only in, I would say, 3 fields. One is the economic field, the volume of trade between our 2 countries. And this pandemic year, or more than a year, already brought it very, very much down. I would say at least at 50%, if not more. And so the trade volume. Second is, of course, tourism, which is even worse. I mean, from the peak we had several years ago of 600,000 Russian tourists to Israel, we went in 2019 to 400,000 due to economic situation in Russia, but still 400,000. And now we are speaking about, I don't know, 90% less, 95% less. So this is an important, and of course, around 300,000 Israeli tourists that came to Moscow. And it's not only tourism as a business, in itself, flights, hotels, and so on, but tourism always brings with it also business opportunities. People come, people see, people meet. They say, oh, okay, we saw something in Israel and it would be nice to have it in Russia, or vice versa. And that's a very important. And the third one, which is not, I would say, you cannot measure it financially, but you can measure it in impact, is our cultural relations. If we had, I don't know, 50, 60 events a year, Israeli artists coming to Russia, Russian artists coming to Israel. This year, we are in really minimum, maybe 1, 2, and it's also very rare. But we're trying to survive on that. Saying all this, first words, I would like to be a little bit more specific on what we are doing today. Israel is known in Russia as a startup nation. Even this book was translated, and every place I go, I now was in together with Yakir, our trade attaché, Yakir Davidson, who is listening to us now as well. And so we were in St. Petersburg in the economic forum, and I met around 10 or 11 governors of different provinces of Russia. Most of them spoke to me about the high tech and the startups and things like that. A little bit in agriculture, because we should remember that Russia is an agricultural country as well, and does need actually agri-tech, agricultural technology as well. But most of them were speaking about to develop hubs and special zones and things like that, bringing Israeli companies, bringing Israeli startups. Place like Skolkovo here in Moscow, special regime, and so on. So the knowledge exists on a general level. What in many places is lacking is a knowledge of more specifics, which means, okay, we need this. Somebody has to present the Israeli startups, or not only startups, companies and so on, to the Russian decision makers, either I would say governmental or private investors, or people who are deciding to bring technologies and things like that to Russia. And it goes vice versa. I mean, it's not that we know everything, and I hope nobody in Israel thinks, okay, we don't need, we know everything, and we don't need to see what others are doing. There's a lot of potential here in Russia, on the research level, on the academic level, on inventions level, and we should also see what is going on here, and in some ways to adapt, not to adopt, but to adapt what is going to maybe can be used in our mutual, I would say, cooperation. And I always speak about cooperation. It's true that my target is to increase Israeli export to Russia. This is our main goal. We are also, experienced enough to say that you cannot do it one way only. It doesn't work this way. So we also helping in some way Russian companies to see about what's going on the Israeli market and so on. So we are trying to help, although again, officially the Russian embassy in Tel Aviv is doing that, bringing or increasing Russian exports to Israel. But we are also helping, because otherwise I would say there is no chance to increase our trade volume. We should diversify, and that's another story, because in some way we were with Russia many years, I would say, stuck on Russian export of energy products, and more or less us a little bit of technology, a little bit of agriculture, and so on. So we have to think about diversity, and today's meeting is one of those very good opportunities, for you to meet, actually, to exchange information, proposals, knowledge, and if after this meeting at least we'll have at least one deal signed, I'll be more than happy. If it will be 10, I will be happier, but at least one. So, but generally, that's my just a few words to begin to to start the conversations. And well, feel free, and remember, we are here, we are working, and if you need any help from the embassy, we have at least two persons in the embassy doing this. We have Yakir, who is Davidson, as I mentioned. He's our trade attaché, and we have an economic attaché, which mainly deals with on governmental level agreements and so on. So at least we have two people in the embassy, and I'm here as well. And for me, the economic part is a priority, as I said, in our work of the embassy. So that's my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the fantastic introduction. We're so pleased and honored to have you with us. So my name is Jason Weiss. I'm the COO and deal flow manager here at Axis Innovation. The pleasure of knowing most of the investors that we have here, and of course, working together very closely with all the startups that we're presenting. Before I introduce our panelists and moderator for the first session, just want to say a quick word about how the sessions go in the format of the event. For those of you who've been here before, it's going to be familiar. For those of you who are new, what we do at each of these sessions is we're going to have, first of all, two pitching sessions. We will have a panel of investors who will first introduce themselves. Then we will have 4 startups, Israeli companies, present. They'll each give a short presentation with slides from their computer, followed by a few minutes of Q&A after each pitch. After their presentations, we are going to pop up a poll question. So that's going to ask you, do you want to meet one-on-one with this company? So we have a time after the event at 12 o'clock, going up until later in the afternoon for potential one-on-one meetings. So if you are an investor or partner looking to and interested in one of these companies, you can answer yes, and we'll be in touch with you to arrange a meeting today if there's time, or to connect you over email afterwards. Our goal for this event, as the ambassador is saying, is to make deals. We had the pleasure of having 5 deals, investment deals, that we've closed from this event, and many more business partnerships that have started. And we think there's an amazing lineup that can do even more this year than ever before. So before I introduce Leo Batalov, partner at DLA Piper, one final word is to remind all our panelists, if it's not your session, you're not speaking, if you could just make sure to keep your mic as well as your camera turned off. Once it is your session, obviously, please remember to unmute yourself and turn your camera on. So now, I am pleased to start our first session of Axis Russia 2021 and introduce our moderator, Leo Batalov, partner at DLA Piper. We're honored and pleased to work with Leo and his team at DLA Piper since we started Axis Russia 6 years ago, and we're excited to have you here with us again today. So Leo, I will pass it on to you.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for the kind words. Happy to be back here. I appreciate Darina, Ed, and Jason giving me this opportunity to just a few words about I am a global co-head of DLA Venture Capital and Emerging Growth Companies practice. And so what we do at DLA, that practice, if you know a little something about DLA, it's the biggest by headcount law firm in the world. We have offices in every location that you can think of, including Zanzibar, and so where you need people, you need, any kind of remote places. So my job is to have venture capital, technology capacity in each of those centers. So if you wake up and whether you're in Tokyo, Sydney, whatever, and move, geographically with the sun to Singapore, and Israel, London, Moscow, it's Helsinki, Berlin, and whatnot, and then Silicon Valley, Brazil, and Mexico, you get the emerging company help, legal help to help startups and investors to do basically to put the deal together. we target startups. We identify them at the garage stage and help them grow all the way to exit, IPO, and whatnot. We also help investors to invest in everything in between, from stock option plans to tax advice, whatever a startup would need. When it's very little, when it's big, we can get it done. So, and same thing, we help investors to invest, sell their investments and whatnot. So anyway, this year, every year, it's like the 6th year, we were very pleased to open our offices at DLA Piper to access and catered food, and it was an event last year. It was online. This year it's online too. So this year, I mean, I said this is not going to work, and if Access is not coming to Russia, I'm coming to Access. And actually, I'm in Israel, in Ra'anana, right? The beautiful scenery. It's my back porch. Now in the COVID world, I can work everywhere. So I've been working from Israel for the last 3 months now. And so, Ed, you're not getting rid of me that easily. COVID, like some excuse not to come, so anyway. This is about me. This is, the DLA. We're just like happy to be part of that. In Russia, we have probably the most like vibrant the legal support for startups and investors in startups. So we're pleased to be helping to bring Israeli startups to Russian investors and bridging that. Israel is one of the best countries, one of the best centers for technological entrepreneurship, and to build in Russia's, if we can get Russia is a good place too, but if building that bridge and between Russian investors, between Russian startups and Israeli ecosystem, just gives me a great pleasure. And with that, I would introduce. My job is pretty thankless here. Most of the time, I have to interrupt the presenters and tell them, "Your time is up." So then, but so please, when you present, be mindful and don't put me in an awkward position of cutting you off, and keep track of the time. But first, I will I will introduce our investor panel, and then I'll just introduce these guys. Some of them I know personally, and then give them a couple of minutes for each to introduce himself and say what they do. And then we'll go to startups when I would introduce the startup and the person presenting. And this is like the same drill. Who've seen this, who's been at this event before knows. Who doesn't, we give a little bit of time, then a few answer and question and answer, a few minutes to answer some questions. So our panel today is Alan Waxman, managing partner of Digital Horizon. It's a venture capital fund. Iskander, sorry?
Just said hello, nothing else.
Oh, hi. Okay. So the Iskander Giniatulin, partner at Sistema VC. Sistema is a big Russian holding company, and Iskander heads its kind of venture capital arm. Ivan Savelyev, managing partner at ICT Capital. So, Alan, if you could say a few words about yourself, and so introduce yourself.
Thank you. It's, I think, third or fourth time that I'm attending this conference. First time virtually. Virtually is unfortunate because it always gives me an excuse to fly to our Tel Aviv office, which I don't do as often. Couple words myself. I'm a founder and managing partner of Digital Horizon. We are an investment firm with two big arms. One is a classical VC, where we invest in European and Israeli startups, mostly around A, fintech and SaaS. Our second arm is our venture builder, which is a newer model on the market, where we identify really teams with core ideas. We really become the co-founders and build them up to round A. running together with them, with the founders, but taking majority interest in these businesses. That's, I guess, about us. About me, a couple of words. The longest question which I have to answer is, where are you from? Because I lived in so many countries, and originally I was born in St. Petersburg. I grew up in Israel and South Africa, and live in UK now. So it's always a long story with somebody asking, where are you from? Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Iskander, if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Sistema VC.
Hello, everyone. I represent Sistema Venture Capital. It's fund backed up by Sistema, one of the largest financial industrial holdings in Russia, Sberbank, the largest bank in Russia and Central and Eastern Europe, and MMK, which is also one of the largest industrial groups in Russia. We are focused on deep tech companies, Series A, B preferably. Regionally, we're focused on Russia, Europe, and Middle East. What else to say? We're probably well known by our latest exit through IPO of Ozon, one of the largest e-commerce company in Russia. I guess this is pretty much it about our fund.
Thanks, Iskander. Ivan, ICT Capital, if you could say a few words about yourself and about the fund. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Leo. Good morning, everyone. Nice to be here. I think I was on the first two Access events in Russia back then, and good to see that you managed to navigate to the other side of pandemic. Obviously, we don't see the other side still of pandemic, but good we managed to hold the event virtually. Actually, I'm from the venture capital background for almost 7 years. I was investing across stages in multiple verticals. Since the end of last year, I actually joined and co-founded the ICT Capital, which is in fact the venture arm of quite a large deep pocket European investment group that manages around $4 billion at the moment. So at ICT Capital, we actually support scaling mainly of the growth stage companies that bring fundamental value to the economy and society. So our investment focus lies in the promising opportunities in mobility, construction, clean tech, energy, food, and digital health. So we are founders ourselves. We managed to grow 4 unicorn companies in the past. So we definitely have the founders experience and understand how to scale quite complex businesses. So our first closing of the fund is $400 million. We invest mainly early growth stage and later stage until IPO, until pre-IPO mainly. So the earliest stage we are entering is the first institutional round, being the A stage. Our initial ticket is around ranges between $2 to $30 million, with a sweet spot around 10 million. Yeah, as we just started, we managed to allocate a little bit short than 25 million. So we still have a lot of capital to deploy. So hopefully we'll find a good opportunities in there.
Thank you, Ivan. With that, I will turn over to our startups. And the first is Tamir, CFO and co-founder of, Tamir, excuse me if I mispronounced the name of the company. It's Grip. That's how I would read it, but you feel free to correct me. So Tamir, the floor is yours.
Hi, hello everybody. Thank you, Leo. No, you pronounced it perfectly. It's just 3 eyes, but we say grip as you hear, yeah. So hi everybody, nice to meet you. Nice to be here. Should I just start with the pitch, Jason? Cool. So okay. So I will share the screen. Great. So as just to correct you, Leo, I'm the CEO and co-founder. I think you said CFO. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of Grip, Israeli startup company working to transform the motorsport ecosystem. And when I say motorsport ecosystem, I refer to those 4 verticals that are written on the screen, because motorsport is not only being a huge sport by itself. For those of you who are not or less familiar, top 5 most popular sports in the world with over 1 billion fans, which many top companies use as a billboard to present themselves and for marketing and sponsorships. As you see, 25% of Fortune 500. It's also connected very much to gaming, with 30% of global gamers saying racing is their favorite genre, and also very much connected to the sports car segment in the automotive industry, and those sports cars are with more than 1 million cars sold annually. So we are talking about a very big market which haven't transformed in many decades. The cars that you see on the screen when you watch a race did advance meaningfully, but the way you experience racing and with all the end users that surrounds the ecosystem haven't changed in any way. And that's exactly what Grip is doing. We develop a data platform. We call it RAMP, which is initials for Racing Media Platform. We collect data in real time and make it accessible for the entire ecosystem with the 4 verticals I just mentioned, and give the product, the insights, the information to the end users through dedicated user interfaces. Those are just examples of what you see. I will get a bit more detail in a bit more details later. The way we are doing what we are doing is by collecting data in real time from 3 main sources. One is racing vehicles, so you have a racing series. We collect data from all the cars in the series. We also collect data from sports cars, which drive at the track, weekend drivers, let's say, and from the racing games, the simulators that gamers are using, all being directed to our platform. In the platform, we analyze the data using our proprietary algorithms and give it to the end users through those interfaces. We already have meaningful traction with customers from the top racing series globally, from DTM in Germany, Porsche Cup in Brazil, and Formula 4 in Spain. Mentioning that I need to emphasize that this is the first year we went to market, already closed 3 major contracts. With Porsche also, we work as an investor and customer. Porsche invested in Grip 3 months ago, and also works to implement our platform in their motorsport environment, which will lead to their use in the car manufacturing and commercial cars. To give you a bit more understanding on the different verticals, so in media, what we do is we increase the media value by creating a much more engaging viewing experience for the 2,000 plus racing series and those billion fans in a SaaS model. We work B2B with the racing series. Here's just an example of how a screen looks when we collect data in real time and augment on the screen, making the racing stories much more simple, attracting new audiences, making them watch more, and open new monetization opportunities. This is why those series are working with us. On the automotive side, we use our platform to collect data from cars, mainly when they go out to do some sessions on the track, a very common activity. Again, B2B SaaS. We are able to collect data from everybody, from all the drivers, creating community for the car manufacturer, giving them higher brand awareness and more monetization, service-based monetization channels. In the esport, we already started implementing our platform in esport for those sim drivers. And as I say, racing genre is one of the biggest genres. So you can see the media verticals implemented in sim racing for the fans to give them a better race viewing experience, for the sim drivers, as we do with automotive, to analyze their drive, and also enable mixed reality races when a real driver race against virtual driver in real time. On the gaming front, which is a very meaningful vertical for us, we see how we can use the rich statistical offering for online betting and fantasy, so gaming in one word. We developed a new statistical language which enables the bookkeepers to offer more betting opportunities and for the bettors to have more tools to bet accordingly. As I mentioned, Porsche invested in Grip as they looked for a solution to monetize their data and digitize all their activities, and found us as a leading product in the market. So now we are working together. We are raising $4 million to scale our operation. I can say it's a growth investment because those customers, we have contract with them also for next year, and we want to reach more customers. Already this year, we reached income of around $500,000, which we expect to multiply 5 times next year with the discussions we have with those extra additional customers. And we are a team that are super passionate about what we are doing, and we couldn't see ourselves doing anything else. That's it.
Thanks, Tamir. And I'll turn to the panel to if you have any questions for Tamir.
Tamir, thank you for the presentation.
Welcome.
What are fundraising plans for the next years?
So our goal is to raise the amount I mentioned, the 4 million, and if all goes according to plan, next year we'll have roughly 10 customers with a very meaningful product market fit, and by the end of 22 we will want to raise a much bigger amount to take us more and more steps forward. You know, we are working in motorsport, and you have to move fast. It's even more so than other industries, and that's our plan, to raise more by the end of 2022. If that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
The second short question, can you please elaborate a bit more on the algorithms that you use for data analysis and analytics?
Yeah, I will try to do it in short. So you collect data from many sources in real time, and you need to take all this data and create a story, like a digital twin of the race that is happening on the track in the computer, and then start identifying events. If a driver made an error, if a driver is now under pressure because someone is coming behind him and is making more errors, if you know, start to highlight those events. And what we're doing is, like, we have several processes. We have a process that takes all the data and divide it into labs. We have processes that predict what's going to happen according to what is going on now and historical data. We have different processes that, again, calculate those list of drivers' characteristics. If he's good in, if he's consistent, if he's good in overtaking, many things that you need to do in real time. Again, also learning from the past, and give that to the viewer or the user in less than half a second. So that's it's a high level explanation. I would love to dive deeper if you like.
Thank you, Tamir.
Thank you. If yeah, there's for everybody. If you have more questions for Tamir or anybody else, all you need to do is click yes, and you know, you will get more information. You get in touch with them. Our next company is SpinFrame, and David, it's a Chief Business Development Officer and co-founder, will present that. David, please take it away. You have 5 minutes for the pitch, and then answer.
Very well, thank you very much, Neil, and thank you, Axis, for organizing this event. We're very excited to be here and to present to you. So let me just share my deck, and then we can start.
The connection is not good.
Yeah, we don't hear you very well, your audio.
Really? I will try without the... Can you hear me better now?
A little bit better.
Let's try it, yeah.
Okay, so I will try without the microphone. Hopefully you hear me, and I will start now. So, good morning. My name is David Grün, and I'm the co-founder of SpinFrame Technologies, together with Ori Dango. Do you remember that guy checking your rental car with a mobile device last time you came back from a business trip?
David,
Do you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, we don't see your screen.
Now? Oh, okay, just okay. Let me see that. Maybe I omitted the most important part, which is sharing it, right? Right. Now you see it.
It's coming. Let's see.
Yeah, you see it now?
I make it full screen.
Okay.
Yes, we see it. You can make
You
it
should
full.
see it now.
Yeah,
Right?
that's good. Yeah.
Now we see the.
Yeah. Just a moment. I'm on it. I'm on it. Okay.
There we
So here we go. Start again. Good morning. My name is David Grün. I'm the co-founder of SpinFrame Technologies together with Ori Dango. Do you remember that guy checking your rental car with a mobile device last time you came back from a business trip? Now imagine he had to do the same for dozens of cars per hour and with 0 errors. This is typically what is needed at the large vehicle logistic hubs, and because no one is superhuman, it just doesn't work. Vehicles go through inspection points over 3 billion times a year. Most of these times, damage inspection is made by a person with mistakes, were not simply overlooked for lack of systematic scalable solutions. This is costing billions of dollars to the industry per year. This is the reason why we have created RealSpections, the ultimate real-time automatic vehicle inspection and damage tracking solution for large flows of vehicles, which was already adopted by major players in the industry. Our mission is to instill trust across all of the handover points of the vehicle supply chain. So how do we do it? We have developed flexible stations that can be deployed at any gateway. The vehicle drives through at up to 35 kilometers per hour. The system captures a 360-degree snapshot of the physical condition of the vehicle. Our AI technology identifies up to the smallest dent, scratch, or scuff, and the vehicle's visual status is instantly updated in a web-based platform. Our approach is to use just enough hardware so as to automatically capture vehicles in an optimal way while remaining truly plug and play. Using the same approach and underlying technology, we developed various applications in order to better suit every use case. Have a look, for instance, at our system operating at the port of Ashdod. Our goal here is to inspect the 150,000 vehicles disembarking every year. We embedded our system in a cargo container that is patented to make it easy to move within the port and any other operational yard. This application is supported by the Israel Innovation Authority. We are currently focusing on 3 major verticals: shipping, operational centers, and vehicle fleets, totalizing an over $10 billion market opportunity. Our patent pending technology is based on 2 components: a sophisticated camera orchestration system and a multi-stage analysis based on AI algorithms. This allows us to make the most from 4K off-the-shelf cameras, and it enables us to deploy seamless, high-accurate systems in less than an hour. RealSpections is therefore highly scalable, unlike the available heavy stations, and better adapted to large flows than mobile-based solutions. Looking at our revenue plan, our subscription-based model ensures $40,000 annual revenue per unit, with recurring revenues which are higher than 70%. We are moving fast. Our product is operative and is being installed for our major use cases, such as the port of Ashdod, as well as at AV's operational hubs here in Israel, where we are documenting the entire vehicle fleet. We have signed MOUs for deployments in the US and with SEAT in Spain, and are preparing for exponential growth in the coming months. We are seeking $5 million in order to help us make every handover point smarter, faster. To sum it up, Respections is here to enable every gateway with high quality damage detection capabilities. Our patent pending technology enables us to handle for large vehicle flows with plug and play, just enough hardware. We have accelerating traction within our focused verticals, which are by themselves over $10 billion. And we are looking to raise $5 million to support this growth. So thank you very much. And I hope we can discuss further on a one-on-one basis further along the day. And I'm ready to respond to your questions.
Thank you, David. Our panel, you can ask David your questions now.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So the question is, so how do you compete with the Tractable, the recent unicorn that actually seems quite similar to what you are doing?
Well, as I mentioned in my presentation, there are kind of two different sorts of companies that are dealing in this business. One is focusing on heavy stations. The others, like Tractable, are focusing on the software. Where we are basically focusing on is on providing scalable solutions which connect between the systems that we create and the software and the AI technology that we are developing in order to support that. So at the end of the day, we provide a full solution that can work for large flows. So unlike Tractable, which is mostly built on cameras on mobile phones, which still require the intervention of the human intervention of the human factor, that is basically taking the pictures for the analysis. We have systems that are fully automatic, objective, and allow basically to monitor the vehicles on the go. Our systems are focused B2B or B2B2C. In the case of Tractable, it's a lot to do with insurance, B2C. Take the situation of the car before it's the insurance policy or after an accident. We are basically looking at large flows operation solutions like the situation we showed in Ashdod, which we really require to be able to capture the vehicles 360 degrees with an orchestration of triggerings that allow you to basically do it on the go and without any human involvement.
Thank you.
And actually a similar question, but would you consider yourself more hardware or software focused? Because you keep talking that you got the entire solution, but I think for us it's important to understand because the investment cycle and the returns is very different.
Right. So basically our core is software. We are developing just enough hardware to support the solution that we develop in software, but where we really excel is in the ability to leverage our knowledge and know-how in visualization of vehicles, which this company does already for many years, in order to basically adapt those systems to be able to have a functional solution that basically provides a product to our customers that can be used without even the need of integration in the first place. So it can be basically be deployed very fast at any gateway to start basically the activity. After that, we are doing the integration with the customer's ERP, with available APIs, and combining basically our software development base with our product hardware solution and our customers' platforms in the best possible way.
Okay, so you are more seeing yourself as an enterprise software. You mentioned integration. What's the integration cycle? How long does it take to integrate with something like SAP or Oracle, whatever it is, at the back end the company is running?
It's a question of weeks, really. I mean, I don't want to say less than that, but the way that we are organized in, in our own systems, the way that it is reflected in our dashboard, can be basically easily connected to any ERP system like SAP in a matter of weeks, just because it requires the definition and the the enterprise approach of our customers to make sure that everything is in place to to connect seamlessly. But from our perspective, we have the APIs ready and the possibility to connect quite immediately to any of the ERP systems available.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, David. And we'll turn to our next startup. It's Visible Zone, and Gabi, its CEO and co-founder, will present.
Hi, good morning. Can you see the presentation?
Yeah, we can see it, but if you could make it full screen, it's, yeah. Okay.
Sure. Okay, so I'm Gabi Ophir, CEO of Visible Zone. I'm a physicist, more than 25 years in the Israeli high-tech company. The last, before establishing Visible Zone, I was a CTO in the Motorola Solution in Israel. Our company is focusing on how to turn mobile phone into life-saving platform. Mobile phone, it's much device that everyone have it, and much beyond connecting people. There is sensors, transceivers, and a lot of technology that we can leverage in order to save lives. Another way to see it is when we have this mobile phone with us, so we can somehow we became as an IoT entity, meaning that we can interact with the infrastructures, cars, other IoT entities. So we are utilizing this in order to provide life-saving solutions. Our technology anchor is based on two technologies. The first is a mathematical model that use the sensor data from the mobile phone in order to understand the situational awareness of the user, understand his behavior, and even to predict 3 seconds ahead what he's going to do. And if this technology is understanding that there is a life-saving situation, it is igniting another technology of us, the ability to turn the mobile phone to be a transponder, meaning that the mobile phone will start to send ad hoc signals. Ad hoc meaning it's direct mode signals. We are not using the cellular link. This is important for real time, for privacy, and the other advantages. So what is what the new thing that we are bringing? There is a lot of great technologies there, but we are promoting new concept of phone to everything signals that we want to send. And this solution, this concept is very usable for smart mobility, smart cities. In smart mobility, I'm meaning that saving pedestrians' lives, for instance. Smart mobility is to interact with the traffic lights, electronic signs, public safety during disaster, and close compound. Many safety situation in harbors, in airports, So this concept can bring them a lot of solutions regarding to life-saving situations. What we are bringing, in addition to what we have, all the technologies, our technology is cost benefit, software only, and the big issue that we are solving actually that we can see pedestrians even they are behind obstacles. So the other technologies need line of sight, and we are doing it much better, much accurate, only with the mobile phones, and I will explain in a minute how. So actually what we need is what the automotive industry needs is a solution to see pedestrians behind obstacles, something like that. This is something that we did in Jerusalem. He was behind this car, and our technology enables the driver or the ECU to see the pedestrian even he was behind obstacles. So it goes this way. We have a prediction model that runs the mobile phone that predicts that he's going to cross the road. And the mobile phone starts to transmit signals, those in up to 180 meters range. These signals can be detected by all the cars and in the vicinity, and the car, if this situation is relevant, the car will notify the driver that there is a life-saving situation. We can also send these signals to the ECU. We already managed to implement this solution in a mobile phone and in Android Auto, and here you can see how this works, even the pedestrians behind a truck. The green light, it means that we already detected someone is there, and we are alerting when it's relevant. So we are managed to do it in the Android Auto as well. So it's a detection, and then only then we are alerting. The pedestrian is behind this car, and there is no technology that can detect the pedestrian at this level. So our solution is actually very, sorry?
We're running over 5 minutes. So if you
okay. This solution is very relevant for smart cities, as I mentioned, to bring a notion to the city officer. And also, as I mentioned, for close compound, there is a lot of safety issues in airports and harbors, and this can bring them the full solution to those issues that I've mentioned. We are focusing now to, our strategies go local, meaning that we want to deploy it in smart cities. It's long range, we want to cooperate with the OEMs. Now we are dealing with Mitsubishi in order to sign MOU and make a big pilot in Japan. The team, we are came from Motorola, so all the mobile phone technology is clear for us. I have more than 35 patents regarding the mobile phone technology, also my CTO, and we are this solution in the short time. That's all.
Thanks, Gabby. One quick question. How much, before I turn to the panel, how much do you're looking to raise?
We are looking to raise $5 million for the next 18 months. We will be focused to finalize, we are going to focus to finalize the AI machine, because it's a very deep tech technology, and a lot of data that we are actually collecting from some smart cities, and productization. This is something that we are going to focus to finalize the AI and the productization immediately after.
Thank you. We have just one quick question, time for one quick question from the panelists. You go.
May I?
Yep.
One very important question. Who do you see as your clients?
As what? Sorry.
Who will pay for your product? I didn't get a business model from the presentation.
Okay. Regarding the smart cities, we are going to add this solution as a SDK level to the city application. In cross compounds, it will be the airport itself or the harbor. We already have some connections regarding that. And in the automotive domain, we want to sell it as a license fee, yearly license fee at the car side.
At this early stage of development, I believe it may be quite hard for you to have such a wide focus customer-wise. So who do you see as a priority in terms of approaching as potential clients?
Actually, we are doing two things. Smart cities, as I mentioned, we are collecting data and then we provide it as
Cami, did you cut out? Or is it just me?
I don't know.
I believe we lost.
Yeah. Okay. That we have about 10 minutes till our keynote speaker. So with that, I'll just turn this to Elad, CEO and co-founder of Optiways. So 5 minutes for the presentation and 3 minutes to answer questions. So we stay on track.
Okay. Thank you, Leo. So hello, everybody. My name is Elad. Let me show my presentation. I guess you can see my presentation, right?
Yep.
Again, glad to meet you, everybody. It's a pleasure. My name is Elad, co-founder and CEO in Optiways. What we do is optimizing supply chain distribution processes. And let me skip very quickly to the presentation. So while most of the current route optimization solution available in the market focus on last mile deliveries, even in Israel, there are 8-9 companies that do this. When it comes to supply chain distribution, we don't see any direct competition at the moment, immediate direct competition. So what we do is helping retailers, manufacturers, logistics service providers optimize their complex supply chain distribution. We reduce costs, increase sales by reducing stockouts, and this is the focus of the company. So just to clarify the distinguish between last mile deliveries and supply chain distribution. So most of the solution available today focus on the right side, on the orange side, which is last mile delivery. I call it the pizzeria mathematical problem. While we focus on the left side, supply chain distribution, taking the cargo from the warehouse or distribution center, bringing it up to the local distribution center or store. So this is much different operational challenge, much more complicated. We're talking about tens of business and operational rules, focus mostly on large trucks. And we see lots of opportunities. It seems like a clear blue ocean market. So a bit about the challenge. The challenge of what we do is we try to provide efficient route planning, taking the cargo from the left side to the right side by planning smart and efficient routes. So this is in high level the challenge, but when going deeper into the operational challenge, when it comes to complicated supply chain distribution processes, we are talking about lots and lots of business rules, operational rules, routing rules, complicated cost model, multiple depots, diverse customers, diverse fleet, lots of subcontractors with different kind of fleet types. And we take all those factors into consideration. And this is why, by the way, it's so complicated, and current solution that focus on last mile deliveries can't support the complexity of those processes. So I can talk hours about technology, and eventually it's all about technology in this business. It's all about the bottom line, whether it works or not. But basically we had to reinvent the whole algorithmic approach to solve this complicated mathematical problem. We developed new approach for algorithmic. We run multiple algorithms in parallel. We run multiple optimization strategies in parallel, and the bottom line that eventually it works and it delivers amazing cost reduction results. So about the team, all of the team has very strong technology background as we deal with deep technology. And right now, this is the main challenge, execution. In this stage of the company, this is the main challenge. We have impressive pipeline at the moment. I'm bringing enough work to the table, so the focus right now is on execution. A bit about the advisory board. Most of the advisory board is coming from the retail industry. Itzik Zeig, the chairman of the company, who used to be the CEO of Nestle Israel and previously CEO of Nestle New Zealand. We focus on retail, and this is why we need advisory board that fully understand and connected to the retail industry. A bit about the current traction. Currently focused only in Israel because of the limited resources that we have. We have impressive pipeline, lots of prospects, much more companies that you don't see here. We have a well-defined process, onboarding process. We start with process analysis, working together with the company, fully understand the distribution process. Then we take historical data and we run benchmarks. In this second phase, we can actually see how much we can theoretically provide an actual cost reduction. From there, we're moving to pilots and production. So this is a well-defined onboarding process that we have. It is challenging. We're talking about large enterprises. We're talking about complicated solution. It is challenging. It takes time, but we quite polished the process. Financials, we raised around $1.91 million. We feel that we have very strong market fit validation. We see clear demand at the moment, though we focus only on Israel at the moment, without any immediate competition. I don't see any other competitive company that's approaching one of these companies with the current last mile route optimization solution. We have amazing field benchmarks with impressive cost reduction results. And we wish to raise $2 million in order to first process the current pipeline that we have. Even here in Israel, which is a small market, we see huge opportunities. And for us, Israel is not just For us, Israel is not just a beta site, but also an actual market that we can get revenues from. This is it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Elad. Our panel of investors, we have about 2-3 minutes to ask your questions so we can stay on track.
Still, I have a question still about the competition. I think you mentioned a couple of times it's Blue Ocean, but there are quite a few established players, and I'm not an expert in logistics, in fleet management, routing optimization. So I might have not seen a very integrated player, but there's quite a few which at least take a piece of it. Can you elaborate on that? I mean, it doesn't look like complete blue.
There are tens of companies out there that supply route optimization. Few in Israel, Bring that just raised $100 million. Bring goes just in Israel, you can find amazing companies, tens of companies out there. FST, others companies dominated, not actually dominated, but we see their traction. But again, when we look at the market, we approach large companies, any company, Nestle, Coca-Cola, DHL, they all manage the route planning activities manually. And not because they're afraid from technology, not because they don't have money or the skills to implement technology, because it's too complicated. And I'm talking about companies that really focus on supply chain distribution. So again, it doesn't mean that there is no competition out there. Lots of companies try to do it, but eventually we see a blue ocean. So it's mostly about execution, approaching these companies. Again, DHL, Nestle, Coca-Cola, large retail companies, they all have solution when it comes to last mile deliveries. When it comes to the backend, to the distribution processes, we see they have TMS systems. Nobody use the optimization, the embedded optimization engine. Why? Because it's not good enough. It can't beat the human experts at the moment. So even though they have TMS systems, they do the route planning manually. So we actually compete with the human experts in the organization, not with other companies. Mostly, again, it doesn't mean that there is no competition out there, but still, it's a blue ocean.
And what's your distribution strategy in the bigger markets? You mentioned you're now in Israel because it's very early stage. What do you see your distribution strategy to be one?
Well, we want to expand globally. Probably we will focus on Europe. We want first utilize the global brands we have in Israel and try to get to the headquarters, Kimberly-Clark, Unilever, Nestle, lots of interesting brands in Israel. And we want to expand globally. We shall find the right partners, distributors and advising companies such as Accenture, McKinsey might be very good candidates for cooperation, since we're talking about complicated processes that require lots of analysis.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this is it for the panel and for the startups, and I'll turn back over to Jason and Darina. Thank you very much, everybody.
Great. Thank you very much, Leo. Good to have you with us. And that was a great first panel. And I wanted to introduce our next sponsor, Tanya Levin, a partner at FinCom Global Tech. Tanya, thanks for joining us today, and wanted to give you the opportunity to explain the work that you do and how it could be relevant for our participants. Tanya, thanks for joining us.
Hello, everybody. You hear me okay? See me here? Thank you, Access, for opportunity to participate in this conference. I will give a little bit about myself, about my office. I'm partner of FinCom Global Tech. My office is providing services to startup and VCs. I established it by myself after years in corporate, and I'm helping to corporate, to startup, to establish company in Israel and Russia, and it's very useful sometimes. This is about myself and about my company, and I'm happy to participate here. Thank you. Okay, so I have a chance to moderate this panel, and I will be happy to introduce firstly investors, and after it startups. So I would like to introduce the first investors in our session, Sergey from Leta VC. I know Sergey and Leta years. This is a maiden VC. So Sergey, are you hear me?
Yep. Hi,
great. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Okay, great. I'll give you a brief intro about myself and Leta. I'm partner at Leta Capital, a venture capital firm with about 9 years in DC market, and actually about 7 years of investing in Israel as well. Like we have 9 companies, we had 9 investments in Israel from our whole portfolio, and actually we have a few exits. And I know that Tanya aware about the one of the latest one, which had it happened like few weeks ago. We operate 2 funds already. First one was like 15 million. The most recent one is 50 million fund, and we're going to launch the 3rd fund later this year. We mostly invest in late seed, round A, and sometimes round pre-B, let's name it, stages in companies which generates at least 50K in monthly revenue around the globe. And we actually industry agnostic if the industry itself is software, so we invest only in software companies, and we're going to support guys who wants build the global business to reach huge valuation and make themselves and ourselves rich in the end, of course. That's the point.
Yeah, so yeah, I just would like you tell it before, and I asked you that actually my question is, how is your experience with Israel startups? It's will be great to know.
Yeah, as you mentioned, we did 9 investments so far, and from that 9 investments, we already have 3 exits. Yeah, unfortunately, no IPO yet, but at least some return, and actually it's a nice return, and we're still going to continue investment in Israeli parts as well. So it's around 30% of our recent portfolio allocated here.
Amazing. Yeah. So I just made a recommendation from my experience to work with Leta. This is very good investors, helping, supporting to invest to startups. Thank you, Sergey. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Okay, so I would like to introduce the next one, investor Vitaly from InstaVC. So Vitaly.
Hi everyone, pleased to meet you again. most of us were crossing the paths during the pre-COVID times, but currently we've been sitting at the same events for the past year and a half during the online sessions. So we at Insta Ventures are Cyprus-based. We one managing partner based in Limassol, another in Berlin, and I'm originated from St. Petersburg, and I'm sitting here, being back here from the US-based company. So we are pretty fresh guys in the industry. We've been collecting the funnel of Israeli and US-based startups for the past 5 years, but we've been active as the fund only for during the past 2 years. We do have 7 active deals in our portfolio. We are pretty accurate, but we also act as the co-investor to the larger funds. So for the moment, we expecting the late seed deals in the amount of co-investment from our side with a sweet spot around $250,000, and this year we expect to close 3 more deals and 10 more until we would close our fund. So we never invested into any of Israeli startups, and I'm looking forward
So it's a good time to start it, you know.
Yep. So our fund we began collecting it from the Israeli based. So we know that selling into domestic market and selling abroad is a really differs, but being pretty significant in the domestic Israeli market means for us that startup is ready to the global expansion. So for us, it's a good sign, and I'm looking forward to meet 3 to 4 projects looking for the seed investment today at the one-to-one sessions.
Amazing. So I hope that you will find for your fund here opportunity, and happy to see you here. Thank you, Vitaly.
Me too.
Okay, so the third investors is Anton from Flashpoint.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Anton. How are you?
Pleasure. All good. All good. Thank you for being here.
We are.
Just a short intro. We're at Flashpoint, are an alternative asset manager across Eastern Europe and Israel. We have 7 offices headquartered in London, and then present in Warsaw, Budapest, Riga, Warsaw, Moscow, and in Israel. We've done about 30 deals, done 10 exits. Basically, Israel has been probably a third of our portfolio. I started to invest about 5 years ago. I think the most notable deal was Guesty, which we led in Series A. And since then, the company raised probably about 110 million. Also invested into a few other B2B SaaS companies that raised a little bit less, but overall, Israel has been a big chunk of success of Flashpoint. And we also have 2 other products, venture debt and secondary, which is basically buying stakes from other VCs and angels. And then the debt fund provides, similar to other banking players, short-term, 3-year term loan with some warrants attached to it. So basically, it can support the companies going from as early as seed up to Series C. We are a combination of products in our portfolio.
Thank you, Anton. Yes, Guesty, I know them by myself at the beginner, so it's amazing story, amazing company. And yes, and Flashpoint also very good VCs which providing supporting startups. Thank you, and hope that you will find something interesting here. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Okay, and the last investors is Alexei from Khabra. Are you here?
Yeah. Hi, Tanya. Hi, everyone.
Hi, how are you doing? So please introduce yourself. We are happy to see you here.
Sure. Thank you for having me today. Unfortunately, I can't give you my hugs to Jason, Ed, and Darina in person. I'm glad to see a lot of my colleagues and friends here. And I have a entrepreneurial background, and I built companies in retail, fintech, and hardware. Hardware, it was my nightmare, but it was a very good journey. And in terms of our funds, we have launched Khabra VC early stage venture capital firm in 2016. And we cover only 2 geos, it's the United States and India. And we invest in seed and Series A. We follow our strategy, which rely on basically on narrow focus funds. And for US market, today's customer engagement technology focus. It means that we invest in companies which help enterprise and consumer brands to engage on board their clients and bring them customer success. And in India, we invest in fintech. And yeah, we have a couple of Israeli companies, and I take a lot of learnings from Israeli founders. Yeah, it's I'm continuing my study in marketing from there, and I impressed how they sell, how they introduce themselves, how they close enterprise big deals. It's amazing, and that's why I'm here. And I'm happy to consider a few new companies from Israel and actively work in this direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexey. I'm excited from your experience with Israeli company, so it's good to know. Okay, so thank you for everybody. And now we are switched to startups panel. So we have 4 startups, and I'm happy to introduce first one, Neil from Achievite.
Achievite, right.
Yes.
So thank you for the opportunity. Let me start the timer, share the screen, and stop it. So hello everyone, very excited to be here today with you and talk about Achieve, which empowering the real estate investment transaction at scale. And I'm going to start with my own personal story. So I'm a tech guy. I worked in Intel for a lot of years. I've been involved in investments through all of my life. I've established 2 hedge funds, raised $33 million. I was the CEO of an asset management group right after. And I started Achieve from a very naive place of doing some real estate investments on my own. And I saw that there were like great managers, great returns, a lot of money, great investors. And at the end, I'm getting like delays in transactions, money conversion fees, and in huge deals, I'm getting like a PDF over the email, which is like, we're not in the 80s, doesn't make any sense. And then I started Achieve, basically. I raised a little bit more than $1 million from Wix founders, a real estate fund, and a transaction company founder. And we launched Achieve a little bit more than a year ago. And today we have this amazing communication platform between investors and real estate managers and developers. And we are looking to build the fintech, the financial infrastructure on top of that. So with your permission, I'm going to jump right over to the product because it's a live product. I want to skip some slides and show you what we've done. So it's the first time ever that any developer or real estate manager can go online and just, click the name of the project and take his documents, her documents, and just throw it inside the Excel, the PDF, all the financials, the images, everything inside. And our system basically takes that and create a personal portal automatically to each one of the investors. Everything is completely online. So it's the first time such a product is offered on the market. This is the actual result. So what you're seeing in here is live. This is a demo, but it's same as any other project. As an investor, this is what I'm getting. So I'm getting this very cool view of my holdings and an overview of my financials with currencies and distributions. I got everything on the mobile phone, iPhones and Android. So that's pretty cool. And on the manager side, it's pretty easy. So as I said, you just click, press ongoing project, go to a project and just, throw the information inside, very intuitive. and then you have this place that you can manage the financials. So this is where we at right now in terms of the product. What we are looking to do right now is to connect the distribution with the actual transaction between the sites. So today we have around 1,500 users, investors on the platform, with a pipeline of almost 4,000, with a transaction volume that is peaking $80 million. And what we are looking for is to build the infrastructure to actually do the transaction through the system. We have 2 partnerships with Israeli companies. One is IBI Capital, the other one is Ofakim, to create the backend transaction. But I want to make it seamless. I want to make sure that the entire experience is going to be digital. So maybe a few slides on the actual market. So the market is huge. We're talking on $9.6 trillion investment in real estate globally. And there's 2 places that I really focus on. One is the cross-border transaction, because there we can bring a lot of value with conversion fees and transactions, cross borders. And other than that, we have a SaaS platform. So basically the revenues are built from 2 sides. One is the stable one, the SaaS revenues, and the other one is more opportunistic, which is looking for tap into the actual volume that the platform is handling. And I think I passed my 5 minutes, so.
Yes, I didn't catch you, yes. But I'm really excited how is Israel a small country, because I know a second founder, Efrat, we learned together in university. Yeah, so thank you, Nir. And we will switch to question.
Yeah, my question would be, there are quite a few companies, I think even in Israel, offering kind of real estate communication platform where you're on the side of like assets administrators or fund managers. Like how do you sell, and what do you like differentiate versus them? I need to understand that.
Right. So I'm trying to really be focused on being fully digitized. So seamless onboarding. You don't need a demo with a salesperson. You don't need to pay on onboarding fee. And the transaction issue, the transaction pain is actually more strong than how to communicate with your investors. So communicating with your investors, we have Yardi, Juniper Square, RealPage, IMS. There's a lot of big companies, very profitable ones, that help to solve that, but it's a nice to have product. It's not a must have. Once you integrate the transactions, it's a must have. I can share very quickly a story on one of our clients who got money transferred from Israel. The corresponding bank was Latvia, and the German bank just froze the account of the manager. So he doesn't care anymore about, it's not a nice to have. It needs a solution to make sure that the funds will transact. The currency conversion is not a headache that you want to handle, and we want to solve that in one platform. So this is where we headed.
But when you so you touch the money basically, right? So they send you the money in like shekels, and then you convert it at the better rate, and then you kind of pass it along in dollars less your commission.
Right, but we do more than that. We do the actual waterfall through the system. So you as a manager have one platform that handles the entire waterfall distribution, investment process, and make sure the money will get there. Today, you don't even have an indication that the investor got the money. You have to pick the phone and call him and make sure that the funds are there. You could get a rejection from the bank, and maybe you wouldn't. Maybe it's just delayed and they want some documents. We have this advantage that we have all the documentation within the platform. So I have acquisition agreement, distribution agreement, everything I have on the platform, I can send it in every transaction to make sure that it works.
So when basically, so you touch all of the money, not just coming out, but also coming in. So you basically like as a custodian, like for, you know.
Right, we don't do that today because that's a very regulated, heavy lifting. So we do it with partnership and we take rev shares. But we want to build it in a much more digitized way because companies that do provide transactions on real estate are not very digital savvy. And there's no reason for that. We can solve that. And this is why we're raising the current round.
Understood.
We want to build that. We want to build scale. We want to make sure we'll stay on the seamless arena.
Alexei, do you have also a question? Yes.
Yeah, sure. And raise both hands, digital and my. Yeah, and thanks, Nir, for your presentation. And I'd like to understand clearly how do you moderate the project that can be placed on the platform, and how you can avoid a fraud from investor side in terms of KYC and PEP or something like this procedure, and avoid fraud from the project managers.
Right, that's a lot. So thank you for the questions. First thing on the onboarding process, as an investor, you should do a KYC, AML. It's a commodity today. Like there's a lot of companies that you can plug into and create this link and do it seamless. So it's possible. The managers need a much more thorough onboarding process. We do want to keep it digitized. In terms of the information the manager is presenting on the system, then we have, you know, our legal department working with us to make sure that we are not liable. So we are a platform. We do work with people or companies that have like a minimum track record. As of today, we have like very interesting data on the system. We store that. We don't do any insights or stuff like that today. We just store that. But we work with established companies that have some kind of track record as for today.
Yeah, but I'm talking about imposters or bad actors who take the same brands or similar brands and can collect and gather money from investors for a fake project.
Right, but I'm not a fundraising platform, so I'm not a crowdfunding platform. And usually the less interesting deals are reaching the crowdfunding domain. Sorry for saying that, but my experience is we are entering into a stage where the investor and the manager already established some kind of a connection, and we take it from there. We want to make sure their connection works smoothly with transactions and communication on the platform.
I see. That means that you don't moderate and don't facilitate the deals. You just give them a tool for closing the deal. Yeah. I got it.
Yes, and one caveat. I'm sorry, just one caveat. We do have offerings on the platform for existing clients, right? Not new clients for the manager.
Thank you, Nir.
Thank you, Nir. Thank you, Nir. And we will jump to second startup. So I would like to introduce Eduardo from Pearson. Eduardo.
Hello, hi Tanya. Thank you so much.
Hello, nice to see you.
Thank you everyone for having us. Let me share my presentation.
Yeah, we are ready.
Okay, so again, thank you everyone for having us. I'm Eduardo Borocci. I'm running the strategy, sales, and business development for Pearson in Israel and worldwide. And Pearson, we are a leading data solution for physical retailers that enable the use of in-store purchase transactional data in order to communicate, engage, and understand the customers. So what we've seen in the past few years and throughout the COVID, it's a rapid rise of e-commerce. And yet 86% of the total retail sales still take place in the physical stores. And the question is whether retailers, they're using first-party in-store data in order to communicate with their customers. And what we've seen is that there is a huge disconnect between what's happening in-store and what's happening online. And what does it mean? It means that in-store data is basically going to waste today. And if retailers, physical retailers, they would make use of their first-party data instead of relying more and more and more on social networks, they could increase their revenue by between 15 to 20% in no time, okay? So basically what Perzon is doing, we are enabling the use of online and offline first-party data together with concepts related to machine learning and neural networks in order to create audience that are going to converge, engage. And more than that, once a digital campaign is done, we can help retailers to measure the return on the investment in store. So we can measure market effectiveness in store. And what we are trying to achieve with that, first of all, increase the physical store traffic and increase revenues. Second, boost engagement and loyalty. We are talking about creating audience for campaigns that are not relying on third-party data, but they're relying on their own first-party data. Improve communication with consumers, today, it's very bad. Consumers, they are tired of irrelevant and inaccurate marketing advertisement that they don't have any relation with them. Again, the measuring the return on the investment in store, and most important of all, how to increase the customer lifetime value, okay? At the end of the day, we are talking here, and today it's a must for every single retailer to create a proper and the right journey from the bricks and mortar to the omnichannel, creating a unification of understanding of the customer. Okay, so once you use Perzon, once you understand how important it is to use this 86% of the transactional data, you see increase in no time. In 1 or 2 months of implementing Perzon, you're going to see huge lift in conversion, huge lift in revenue per campaigns, huge loyalty adoption, even increase in NPS, which wasn't something that we were expecting. Which markets and vertical were involved? Every single retailer with an online strategy and a physical presence is a target market for Perzon. From apparel and fashion to cosmetics and beauty to supermarkets to department store. But when we look at the future, we are not just looking at retailers. We are looking at brands and CPGs, where the main challenge for them is how to create a direct-to-consumer strategy. And they don't have this today. They invest a lot of money in digital marketing. They cannot measure or understand how customers are behaving. And this is how we see our data monetization product moving onwards. When we look at the market of the artificial intelligence for marketing domain, we've seen a market estimated in $50 billion, where CDP players are trying to get in, marketing automation platforms are trying to get in. But at the end of the day, we need to map the 360-degree from the physical store to the marketing, to the e-commerce, and to the physical store back, measuring the entire effectiveness of a marketing campaign. And this is where Perzon is focusing. A little bit about the company. We were founded in February 2020, bootstrapped, no investment so far. Up to today, lots and lots of customers in Israel and abroad. Our main objective for the next 5 years, obviously, is to penetrate in Europe and US. And we are always looking for strategic partners for that. Recently, we have been selected for the Plug and Play brand and retail in US as one of the top startups, as well as partnership with Oracle and NVIDIA. And at the moment, we are just completing our first round of investment of $3 million. Obviously, the objective is to scale up international and continuous development. We've seen a monthly to month growth rate of 25%. So we have already 25 customers and more customers in the pipeline in Israel and internationally. And you know, we welcome new investors, especially smart investors, people that can open market to us and people that can aggregate value on it. A few words about the business model. We are charging a monthly fee per store per month. So, and the objective obviously is to get lots and lots of retailers with lots and lots of stores. And then we can create a tier model for them to be able to use the platform. And obviously, when we look to the future, a data monetization solution for brands and CPGs, this is how we see really the growth engine for Pearson in the past 5 years, to approach the Coca-Colas, the Unilevers, the Procter & Gambles of the world, and together with supermarkets and department stores, allow them to understand the behavior of their customers in the physical.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but we need to go to questions. Just have about 3 minutes.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, Jason.
Candace, Alexa.
Yeah, thank you, Eduardo, for your presentation. And retail is an amazing sector because it has a lot of problems nowadays. And I'd like to understand what is your sales cycle and implementation cycle and how it looks like.
Okay. You know, I must say that in Israel, the sales cycle is quite fast. We've been acquiring customers in a very rapid rate of even less than a month, because, you know, once we meet physical retailers, we don't need to dig too much into the problem because they understand the need of using their in-store first-party data to communicate with their customers. So the problem is there, the problem is known, it's just no one is doing anything about that. So when we approach retailers, it's very easy. Obviously, internationally, the sales cycle is longer because we need to reach the right people. But the way that we plan to do it is by establishing key partnerships, strategic partnerships and technology partnerships in key territories in order to be able to multiply the business and increase the sales cycle. Regarding the delivery, what we've seen so far that some of the retailers, they're yet very outdated in terms of systems and platforms. Lots of retailers, they're still, to our surprise, they're still using Excels for managing their traffic flow. Having said that, if it's depending just on Pearson, and when we talk about delivery, we are integrated with the point of sale, we integrate with the loyalty program, with the CRM, we are putting a pixel in the Excel. In our experience, a delivery can take anything between 2 weeks to a month. It depends more on the retail side than on our side. But once the system is implemented, we let the system run for 1 month, because at the end of the day, this is a data company and we need to learn. But once this month passes and we start to run, we can see, you know, results in no time.
But
thank you.
When you sell to those retailers, like, how do they view ROI? Is that about increasing the comeback, you know, to the store, or increasing basket size, or what is that what KPI do you really draw by like unifying like a data platform, or providing kind of a
you know, again, the problem is there and the retailers, they understand the problem. And now, once we enable them the use of their first-party data, the use cases are endless. Okay, and obviously each retailer, they have a different pain point. For example, one of our customers in Israel, they have a very low loyalty program adoption, and they want us to help them to motivate customers to move to their loyalty program. And once we did it, we had like 40% loyalty adoption per week. Okay, this is one case. In the other hand, to our surprise, customers, they were happier and the NPS increased, the satisfaction increased. On the other hand, some of the customers, their challenge is to reduce the use of the digital budget, which is not being measured so far. Other customers, they want to focus on remarketing. Other customers, they want to reduce the dependency on third-party data. Other customers, they want to increase revenues per specific stores in specific locations because they are opening the stores and there is no traffic whatsoever there. So how we bring people to these stores? So, you know, the important part is to understand what is the main pain point for the customer. And then from then on,
are you guys like acting as a customer success? Are you acting as an enabler and like an online agency, a technological online agency, or they do all of this kind of like insights and execution of those insights themselves?
I'm sorry to interrupt. It's a great question. We'll leave it for, let's say, a one-on-one, but we do need to move it because we're a few minutes behind and we have a whole schedule for one-on-one meetings.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's so interesting that there's a lot of questions. Yeah, sorry, but we need to switch to next startups. So I would like to introduce Dan from PlaySense. Dan?
Hi, everyone. Good morning, PlaySense. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Dan, and I am co-founder and CEO of PlaySense. A few words about myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I come from a background of mainly what I call virtual companies, online worlds. The one intriguing thing about the online world, as Eduardo mentioned earlier, is data. Where in the online world, it's available, and decisions can easily be made based on it. But in the physical world, we see that there is lack of data. And when I say physical world, I'm referring to any type of entity which is relying on physical foot traffic. So you can think of a supermarket, a mall, outdoor advertising, but even a municipality. And overall, any type of entity which is relying on physical foot traffic, these decision makers are still making decisions based on gut feelings, sending out surveys. In some cases, this guy, he's the star of the day, standing on a street corner and actually counting the people. I think that in 2021, making decisions of billions of euros based on these hypotheses is a little strange. And that's exactly what we're changing at PlaySense. So at PlaySense, we're using the sensor that all of us have in our pockets, and that's the smartphone. We learn how to connect with these phones. We've developed a variety of machine learning algorithms that know how to make sense of the data that we bring from these phones. And up to now, I can share that in Germany, for example, we're connected with 35 million devices. That means that we're connected on a daily basis with anywhere between 12 to 15% of the population in any given area. We make these connections by partnerships that we do with app developers. So think of apps that you have on your phones, apps that have a legitimate usage of GPS, a weather app, a dating app, a parking app. We pay these apps to get access to the data. And I know it sounds strange. How come apps can share data? But I can share that we solved that. We solved the privacy issue with algorithms that we've created that know how to completely sterilize the data. And actually, to prove that for ourselves, we started in Germany. We started in Germany 2 years ago. We started in Germany because Germany is the most strict as far as data privacy is concerned. And the idea was if we can make this work in Germany, we could do this anywhere else in Europe. Now, what do we do with this data? So this is, for example, a mall located outside of Berlin. We were asked to look at this mall. We were asked to compare it with another mall located about 15 kilometers away. By the way, this is an investment case. This is a repurposing case. And this is a case where the investor wanted to also look at the competition. And then the next step is the analyses that we can make. For the first time ever, we're presenting in the physical world the ability to understand the customer journey. Where do they come from? Where do they live? Where do they work? What is the point of interest that they visited before and after? And of course, we can make these comparisons with an infinite amount of locations. I can share that one of the consultancies that we're working with are testing on a weekly basis all of the car dealerships, for example, in Germany, looking at the data and fluctuation between every one of them. We understand things like loyalty, retention, how often do they come back, differentiating between new and returning customers. And by cross-referencing the data with additional data sources, we deep dive and understand demographic information, languages spoken, and we can even understand the shopping preferences or the way these customers actually distribute their money. As mentioned, we work with some of the largest municipalities, consultancy firms, real estate companies, and retail companies in Europe. In the past month, we have been nominated to become the index for all of the out of home, all of the billboards in Germany. I'm emphasizing on this because this for us was a very important vote of confidence, both for the accuracy, the privacy, and the granularity we can get with our data. We've shown traction from day one, over exceeding our expectations, expecting to finish 2021 with over $1 million in revenue. Use cases like campaign measurement, understanding insights about data anywhere, analyzing catchment areas are just some of our capabilities. None of this could, of course, happen without a great team, starting with Avi, my co-founder, who comes from a background of app monetization, Eyal, a serial entrepreneur himself, leading our technology and data, and Omer on the finance. I'll be happy to share more over a one-on-one meeting and answer any questions you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. So, question?
Yeah, and do you see customers beyond the consulting companies, like that the end customers are looking to buy into the platform? Like my first question, my second question, how do you differentiate versus Placer.ai?
So I'll start with the latter. We operate in Europe, and our ability to operate in Europe is because of what we do on privacy. In the US, we see a lot of companies that have the ability to do audience building and things that are not available in Europe. And our ability to make sure that an individual's information is not jeopardized is what gives us the priority and comfort in Europe. As for your second question, indeed, way beyond the consultancies, we see that currently one of our big customers is Cushman Wakefield. Cushman Wakefield, a real estate company, using it for asset management, using it on their commercial brokerage. Stoil, a very big customer of ours, is the largest operator for billboards, are using it on a daily basis, and also working directly with the retailers themselves that constantly consume this data. The last direct customer was actually municipalities. If you would have asked me a year ago, Dan, can you work with municipalities? I would probably say that's impossible. But what we've learned in the past 6 months or so, that the new budgets coming for sustainable and smart city needs make this data into a necessity piece of the information of a city manager. And currently we're working in the Netherlands, for example, with 7 out of the 9 largest municipalities.
Thank you.
Cool.
Sergey, do you have questions?
Yep. Thank you for presentation, Dan. Can you elaborate a little bit about the implementation process, like how the project with your customers looks like, and actually started from the point how your customer actually find out about you? You know, there is number of geo-analytics service in the market, so how do they actually know that you exist?
So I guess the largest buzzword would be account-based marketing. We work with enterprises B2B, have a very direct approach. We won a lot of competitions in PropTech. Just today, we're a finalist at the Union Investment PropTech Awards, where we are a finalist in the Sustainable and Connected Buildings. So it's a B2B approach. That's the background of myself and Avi. We know how to make these connections, and we were able in a short amount of time to run into these cycles and actually bring our information forward.
Yeah, can you elaborate about the implementation process as well? Like, okay,
sure.
let's let's say that you already sold the idea of using your platform, but what's next?
Definitely. So I'll use a different word with your permission. Implementation is when I am required, in some cases, to create a connection with our customers' data. In our case, we're coming to the pitch with answers to our customers. We connect to brand agnostic apps. We do not need any kind of connection whatsoever with our customers. So overall, we have the first initial meeting, which is about the product, exactly like I'm doing today. Then usually the second meeting is already with the business people that have the pain point. They describe how they want to start and give us an idea for what kind of license they're purchasing. And then before going into procurement, there's always a data protection officer that is happy to speak with us and question what we're doing. But I can share that in 100% of the cases, we're good around the privacy. And then we just implement the service and provide either the project or a dashboard or a link to Power BI based on what they need, and we're good to go.
Got it. Thanks.
Good question. Why didn't you go like similar web style, like where you kind of like open up, the first layer of data, and then obviously people want more insights, and you've got more information.
Anton, I'm sorry, we don't have time. I see, so it's so excited and interesting.
Tatiana, with your permission, I'll just have a 10-second answer. Anton, what you just said will be launched in 3 weeks. I'll send you a link.
All right, cool.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. You
Thank
see,
you,
so it's
Tatiana.
so
Thank you all.
interesting. You have so much in the question. Okay, and our last startup. So I would like to introduce Danny from
Doggies.
Doggies.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
So it's something
Yeah.
that's related to doggy?
Exactly. So
So
everyone.
my dog is here. Yeah.
Amazing. I was just about to ask who has a sabaka or a dog. We have lots of dog owners. Thank you so much for having me today. With your permission, I'm also just going to share my screen, and then we can take it from there. Can everyone see my screen? Real good. Excellent. So thank you so much, Tatiana. As I said, we're all about the dogs. So if anyone has a cat or a koshka, then they can leave. No, I'm joking. But really, I just wanted to thank you so much for your time. Just wanted to tell you very quickly, my name is Danny Janogly. I was born and raised here in London. Moved to Israel when I was 18, served in the military. And I actually, a couple of years back, moved back to London to kind of expand our UK operation. As I'm sure many of you know, the pet market has been growing pretty consistently for the last 30 years. I think 2008 proved to us that this market is completely recession-proof. And now, interestingly, after 2020, I think we can see this market is also pandemic-proof as well. Dog shelters have been reported to be emptied over the last year as more and more people look to take on a new lockdown buddy. In the US, there are currently more households with dogs than with children. The same is true in many countries in Europe. And actually, interestingly, in Russia, there are now over 17 million dogs. And from 2010 to 2018, the dog population in Russia grew by 40%. And I think we're seeing now mainly more millennial dog owners taking on dogs and really kind of being part of their family. Over the last 4 years, Doggies has become the market leader in pet care services in Israel. We've collected massive amounts of data and become experts in all things dogs. We've built a strong and loyal community of regular recurring customers. Our average customer makes 3 bookings a week, spending between $100 to $150 a month on our platform. We currently offer all on-demand pet care services, so dog walking, daycare, boarding, grooming, training, etc. And I'm excited to now tell you about the new platform, the Doggies 2.0 platform that we're currently building today. The Doggies vision is very simple, is to really help dog owners take better care of their dogs. We use AI and crowdsourced data to help you throughout the journey of your dog's life. We've called this in a world the digital circle of life. Dog owners start by tracking their information. They answer quizzes about their dogs, and we get a better understanding of who the pet is. And we then assign them a doggy score as to how healthy and how well they're looking after their pet. The next stage is to help them grow. We give them tips and a personalized journey on how to improve and grow their score. We do this through fun challenges, which is an immersive and gamified experience that really helps them improve their dog's health, fitness, and well-being. Through these challenges, we give them that sense of achievement. They unlock rewards and challenges that don't just obviously help you stay active with your pet, but also help you earn Doggies coins, which you can then use as discounts on our services or our partners' products. So users, as I said, begin through the personal hub by answering questions and different chapters about their dog. They track their health, fitness, mood, nutrition, healthcare. They can track all of their vaccinations, upcoming appointments. And Doggies is now developing next generation visual machine learning AI, which will allow you to take a picture of your dog's poop and instantly be able to see if it's healthy or not. Something that we are now patenting, and we believe this technology can really be a game changer for dogs with gastro issues. The next stage really is using our data to really help dog owners grow. And we do that by crowdsourcing data to help you see what other dogs of similar breeds, of similar ages, how they're taking care of their pets and what products they're enjoying. Our AI can make a tailor recommended product and service offering specifically for your dog. And our data is the main reason that a lot of our big brand partners are extremely interested in partnering with us. There really is, as I said, the idea is to give people a sense of achievement. We want to put your dog and your dog's health first. And we want to give you those personalized challenges that will improve the health and well-being of your dog. And we've gamified the whole process so you can actually compare to see how your dog is doing to your friends' dogs in the neighborhood to really kind of create that kind of fun, almost, if you will, competitive environment. And through, of course, this whole process, we're constantly rewarding our clients for inputting that data with Doggies coins. The idea is that you earn coins either by simple things of sharing the app or completing different challenges, such as, walk 50 kilometers in a week. And these challenges are dynamic and specifically tailored to your dog breed and age. So obviously a young puppy will have very different challenges to a more senior puppy as well. The idea then is to really give these Doggies coins actual monetary value. As you earn Doggies coins, you can actually use these Doggies coins. You can actually use these Doggies coins as discounts, either with our services or with our partners' products. Our goal is really to cover the three main services, which is services, pet care services, food. Hello, can you hear me?
We're well over 5 minutes, so we do need to wrap it up. So we have
this is it. And then, so in terms of the different services, and we're now partnering with one of the largest UK pet brands. And we're now looking as well, speaking with an Australian pet retailer, and we're hoping that we can maybe find a Russian potential pet partner. And so this is just me now. I just wanted to say thank you very much. If anyone has any questions, I would love to hear, and I will stop sharing my screen.
I have a question.
Of course, Tatiana. I could see you smiling the whole way, Tatiana.
If I can download already your application.
Yes. Well, excellent. So the new product will be ready in Q3. We're launching in September to our Israeli customer base. We will then be launching in Q4, partnering with one of the largest food brands who will be distributing our app to their customer base. But the idea is that we will no longer be geo-restricted, so you'll be able to download the app anywhere in the world. And we'll definitely. Are you, Tatiana? Are you in Israel now, Tatiana?
Yes, I'm.
Well, then you should download our app today, and I'll give you your first walk will be on the Doggies house. So of course.
Okay, so question from investors who is ready? Alexei?
May I ask you? Thank you, Danny. Your product is wonderful because I'm a dog owner and I'm a happy parent of 2 dogs. And what is the main reason and main trigger to start using your app? Because it's a comprehensive service, and what is the main pain point that you cover first?
Sure. Well, I think in terms of the idea really is to give, we're kind of focusing more on the digital health side of things. So the idea is to help dog owners learn more and take better care of their dogs. A lot of people rely on usually their vet or their friends for what kind of products and services they use. I'm sure as dog owners, you'll know, you ask your friends and you say, what food do you use, what this, and what we want to do is give people the ability to make the best choices about their dogs. And I think we want to motivate people to be more active with their dogs. And the idea is that we will actually be able to give you doggies coins, which you can then use as monetary discounts on your pet services that you're already using. So the idea would be that if you're already purchasing your food, but if we can help you to be healthier with your dog and walk more with your dog, the idea is that we can then get you your food for cheaper. And the same thing with insurance. We're looking at health insurance and pet insurance, that more active dogs should have cheaper premiums than lazy fat dogs. So that's really the idea, is the trigger is to make a fun, immersive, gamified experience that allows dog owners to take more control, get more knowledge, and also, we have online vets, a lot of other kind of different features and functionality that kind of all dog owners really, really need.
Thank you for your answer. One more question.
I have a question. What is the current traction on the users? How's the user base going so far, and maybe also comment on your distribution strategy?
Sure. So in terms of in Israel now, we're kind of the market leaders in Israel, and we probably have around 20,000 active users in Israel. We also launched in London a couple of years ago, and so we have a kind of a smaller operation here in London as well. Obviously, COVID wasn't the easiest year for any of us, but I still think we managed to, in 2019, we did around $750,000 in revenue. 2020 with COVID, we did just over around 560,000. So again, a lot better than we thought it could have been. But that's the rough traction in terms of where we're at, in terms of from an ordering point of view. But the idea, as I said, now is we're launching this partnership in the UK with customers. They have over 1 million customers in the UK, and they're going to be doing the marketing for us, distributing our app as a kind of health and wellness app, as something that promotes healthier dog, healthier living for your dog.
Yeah, sorry, but we need to finish. Yeah, I have a lot of questions, but yeah.
Well, I'm happy to answer all of your questions. Thank you so much, Tatiana, and Access in general. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, of course, to our sponsors for making this event happen, to the great investors who have joined us at this event, and so many of you have been joining us for the past 6 years, and we really appreciate that relationship. It means a lot to us, to the 8 startups for presenting and working so hard with us. Now we're wrapping up the first part of this event, but we have another session and another Zoom link, which you should have gotten an invite to. If not, we will put it in the chat, where we're going to have breakout rooms for one-on-one meetings. So for all the startups, head over there. For the investors, many of you already have one-on-one meetings. We're running about 10-15 minutes behind the original schedule. It's okay, it's Israel. We're not so bad. And you can go over there. We're going to have breakout rooms. If you did not schedule a one-on-one meeting with one of the startups, but you would like to, go to that room and we will try and fit it in. Some startups have full schedules. Others will make an intro. We're really here at this event to make these meetings happen, whether it's today or tomorrow. So feel free to jump into that room. And thank you again for joining us for the Access Russia 2021. We'll see you in the next session.